welcome to the second live stream on Moonlyte Music. Apologies, I'm just a little bit flustered because about 5 things happened just about a minute before I was about to go live. Welcome. If you've ever wanted to produce drum and bass but have not really been sure where to start, or you've not really been sure what some decent processes are, you can join me here watching me produce live on this channel. The idea of these streams is basically so you can see my live production, you can see my process, and you can work along with me. We did one already. I did one already the other week, last week, and it went pretty well. And yeah, so we're just basically going to get on with producing some more. So I'm thinking that I'm going to be doing some more bass production today. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to be doing something in the realm of like Noisia-esque, so something kind of Neuro-ish bass work. So yeah, I'm going to first of all want to do some audio testing, just to make sure that everything is actually working okay. So if I'm looking up here, it's because my chat and some various pieces of information I need are up there. We'll work on the setup as we go with this thing. So I have a trusty colleague in the chat who's gonna tell me if everything's working. Is that working, Nick? Let's hope he's paying attention right this second. Let me see. Okay. Right, well, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm going to base it on the fact that I think it probably is, because I have tested it several times. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting a new bass patch. So currently in this track, brilliant. Thanks, Nick. Loud and clear. Okay, great. So in this track currently, we already have like a main bass idea. I'm going to just play you this idea. You just heard it, but we're going to just play just the bass. So there's like 3 bass ideas in there. We've got the main sort of gnarly bass. This one. There's a sub layer actually. Which is not very interesting, just to fill out the low end. Then we've got our foghorn elephant trump sound. And then we have the sound we worked on last time, which is kind of like a womp kind of like vibe thing. Yeah. So I'm not convinced that this needs a new bass sound designing for this just yet, but it's one of the things I enjoy doing the most, and I want to sort of exhaust all the possibilities before I fully settle on this drop, essentially. One of the genres of music I really like is kind of called glitch hop. It's kind of like a slow, down tempo kind of music, and it has a lot of different bass sort of like production going on in it. Usually there's quite a number of different patches that are made, a lot of different experimentation, and I kind of like drops that have a lot going on with lots of different basses. My thoughts for this are that basically the bass in here is already gnarly and detailed enough, and there's 2 others, so it probably doesn't need another one. But what's the fun in not experimenting? So we're going to be experimenting with that today. So we're going to be aiming for a bit of a noisier, neuro-ish sort of bass sound. So, I preface these things. Oh, what's my keyboard shortcut for? There we go. That's right. Okay. Yeah. So, I preface this with basically the caveat that, bass production, although it's helpful to have a load of like technical knowledge about this, the bass production side of things, it's a lot of it is about experimentation and trying things and trying to see what works. So, unless you've got like a really specific sound that you're looking to do, if you are looking for a womp or a Reese or a 808 bass or something like that, that there really is quite a sort of unified set way of doing. Unless you're doing that, then making basses is about having fun and about messing around and experimenting. And sometimes that leads to experiments not working, and that's totally fine. I'm a very big believer of experimenting and seeing what works and not being afraid to throw things away if they don't work. So that's the risk of like actually producing live on the internet as well. Last session, I actually ended up with a bass that I liked and actually have kept and is going to go in the track. So that was pretty good for my first stream. But I easily throw as many basses away as I keep them. So but let's hopefully try and aim at doing something that will keep. So I'm going to just rename this Neuro Bastard. Okay, so this is going to be our Neuro sort of bass sound. I use a synth called Faceplant. It's my absolute favorite. It's just a beast. It sounds amazing. Can I give you some examples of Neuro basses that I've done before? Yes, I can. Some of these are probably not. Some of these are better than others to listen to. Biddly Bub Wub. This probably is not one of the better ones to listen to. Yeah, this was a track. This was a bass that was made for. This is a bass made for a track that is about at least half the tempo of this one. So it's like, it sounds a bit fast. We've got... nope, boring. Crunchy Reese. That might be a nice starting point. This is a very simple Reese bass, but it's nice and crunchy. Just going through having a look. This is the one we made last time, our F sharp. Oh no, this is not the one I made last time. This is a new one. Oh. That one's fun. Harsh Wub. Some of these might be kind of a bit bad. Scratchy Neuro Trip. Nice. Some of these sound pretty decent. Sick Reese. I think this is kind of an unaffected Reese sound. Yeah, that's a classic Reese bass sound that's got quite a lot of sort of harshness to it, savageness. I'm just seeing if any of these actually have like a decent starting point, but I'm probably going to start from the beginning. Throat Reese growl. Ugh, lovely. Dirty skanky Reese beast. Just looking at my what's it called, descriptions of these. This is another one, the Throaty Reese growl extreme. Yeah, this is an example of. I think I used this one in a video actually. Made this one in a video possibly. This one is a really good example of like a Neuro bass. Yeah, some filthy sounds going on in that. Yes, so instead of messing around with this, let's start with a fresh patch. So, what we're going to be doing, I'll give you the basic sort of overview. So we're going to make a Reese bass or something with a lot. Hey, all right, Kyle again. How's it going? So we're going to be making another. So we're making a Neuro bass patch today, and the hello from Cambodia. Nice to catch this live this time. Ah, nice to have you. Nice. Wasn't expecting Cambodia. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for joining us on the stream. So basically, as I was saying, we're going to be making a Neuro bass today. So there are some basics to that. There's a really nice little PDF or like single cheat sheet that I can show you for this as well. But what we do essentially is we make a detailed, rich Reese sound, or it doesn't have to be a Reese bass, but like basically a bass sound with a lot of harmonic texture, like it's quite bright and detailed. Then we're going to add in a crap ton of filtering, like effects, multi-splitting effects, OTT, loads of different things. And that's going to be automated loads to create some unpredictable and interesting results. That basically creates a bass with like a ton of movement and like character to it. And then once we've done that, we then take all's well, just staying out of the cold. Yes, me too, mate. Me too. I've actually got like my coat on in here actually, even though it's not super cold in here. I'm just I was just feeling a bit chilly earlier. So we take that bass, we add a ton of like movement to it essentially, and then we will then perform that bass. So what I mean by that is that I will be playing probably one or two notes. I might just actually make some MIDI for that, because we already have like a bass line kind of going on here. It's just two notes. It's really not a complicated bass line. And then I will use a lot of the macros and stuff that we create on this patch to sort of perform that bass sound and try to like make it interesting over a long period of time. We'll play that, and we'll have like a long section of audio that's recorded from that work. Then I'll go in and chop that up, and we'll see if we can find like interesting riffs, interesting sounds that we can pull out and maybe use in our main drop. So that is the workflow. I'll just see if I can get Digipax. Hi there. I heard you will make some nasty basses. Yeah. Yes. Greetings from Cologne. That is France, I believe. I hope that is right. And if not, I'm very sorry. Is it Switzerland? It's not Switzerland, is it? I'm assuming it's France. Okay. People from all over the place here. Cambodia, London, Cologne. Fantastic. This is really cool. I still haven't managed to figure out how to get my chat somewhere sensible instead of up here. I'm gonna have it on my iPad down here probably at some point. So I also still have no idea how many people are in the chat room. Oh, actually, hang on. Is it updating this time? Oh, it says I've got 4 concurrent viewers, so that's cool. That's actually updating this time. That wasn't doing anything before. Germany. Oh, God, I was all over the place wrong there. And Nick, yes, in Scotland, indeed, yes. Nick's my friend who's helping me out with checking the technical side of things. Thanks very much for that, Nick. I owe you one. Right, okay. Right, let me have a think. So yes, I was going to have a little look for our Neuro bass cheat sheet. Neuro bass cheat sheet. Let's see if I can get this without too much. I should have prepared this beforehand. Okie dokie. So, yes, here we are. Oh, can we see this? Is this on my... Yes, this is right. I wonder, I'll just get myself a bit more out of the way for this. Okay. So, yeah, so we start with... This is a cheat sheet that was made by the Glitch Kitchen. I've seen a few different people, different producers, like reference this and use this. It is very helpful if you're not too familiar with the production of these sounds. It is essentially, it's quite a bit of an older JPEG these days. People don't always do the resampling side of things, which is the last step. However, we are basically going to be doing that today, although maybe not always as complicated as they used to do it. So, yeah, so we start, with our source wave. We're going to have like, we're going to probably be using a sawtooth today, I imagine. That's the usual standard. Detuning and movement is creating the respace. This is all, we'll all do this very quickly to start with. Those bits are the easiest parts of creating the sound. Next, these other sections are filter movement, frequency separation. Hang on, I've got a new thing that can help me demonstrate everything on screen. Let me just, here we go. Sorry, I'm using my tools. So filter movement. Is that working? Yes, fantastic. Filter movement and frequency separation and distortion and all of these elements, they're not necessarily going to be done in just one go or in order like this. We're gonna take these ideas and we're gonna use them in different orders. We're gonna be really messing around and trying to mangle our sound, basically. This is how we end up with really interesting, detailed, and nice sounding basses. If you were going to pick one feature of Noisier sound, is that their basses aren't following any like set pattern, really. They're always like a completely unique sound, and that's one thing I love about them. I remember reading interviews with them back in the day where they used to say they would use their entire processor just on one bass sound. This is, of course, back in like 2003, 2005, when processors weren't as ridiculously beefy. Although with Faceplant you can actually annihilate your CPU as well. So, okay, let's get going. Reese Bass 101. This is actually one of the easiest sounds you can make. It's really, really simple. We're just going to use 2 sawtooth waves. So a sawtooth wave sounds like this. So, let me get my EQ up so you can see the shape of everything. So we're going to have that in the background as well. Yeah, let me play that again. So you can see it's got there's a lot of higher frequency content as well. So this bit here is our fundamental frequency. And then there's all of the different harmonics. You can hear all of those there. So that is the basics of that sound. I'm not going to go into too much detail about exactly how that works, but that is the sound of a sawtooth wave. It's quite distorted, buzzy, and there's a load of higher frequencies. So to make a respace, it's dead simple. There are a number of ways you can do it. You can just click this unison button here. That will give you an effect. But I quite like using 2 separate wave forms for this. So now, these are exactly the same currently, so it'll just be louder. You can see it's louder with 2. because they're the same. They're exactly the same tuning. Now, when we detune them from one another, this creates weird phasing patterns where some parts of the sound get louder and some parts of the sound get quieter, and it sort of like has a bit of a sort of a wobbling or a pulsating effect. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to detune this one by 30 cents, and I'm going to put this one up by 30 cents. If you don't know, cents are basically 100 cents is one semitone, so it's basically a percentage of one of the smallest notes that you get. Like a semitone is kind of like the smallest gap in a note, and so a cent is like dividing that up yet further. So we're technically 30% out of tune one way and out of tune another way. So now our Reese bass, which is basically the absolute basics of a Reese, is done. And if you can hear that, we've got a pulsating effect. So we've got play higher up and play even higher up. You see? So that pulsating effect comes from these weird phasing effects. Again, I'm not going to get into the super detailed nitty-gritty of exactly how that works or why that works. It's just, this is a classic sound, and it's really useful knowing how to do this. These sounds are mega useful if you want to just use them outright as well. Like one of the best things you can do is just slap a filter on it. Slap a low pass on it so it's not too bright. And then you've got a pretty usable patch that you can put under all sorts, basically. It works on nearly every track you could put a Reese in, I'm almost certain. So yeah, so that's one of the first things. So now we have our, should I keep referencing this little graph or not? I'm wondering. Oh, I closed it. Helpful. Let me open it up again. Open a new window. Okay, why is that showing? Ugh. All the things that you don't expect to happen when you are doing something live. For some reason, this is showing in Reddit. I think it was originally posted to Reddit. So yeah, I wanted just the image, but anyway. So yes, so we have our little thing here. So these first two steps are essentially done. Source, where our waveform, we've got clean, full, harmonically rich. So basically you just want to avoid using stuff like sine waves here, which have no harmony, no harmonics to them. A triangle wave also has fewer harmonics because it dips off quite quickly and is not as bright. So maybe avoid that as well. But you can use square tooth waves as well. That also works. And you can also use wavetables and different things as well. But you just need them to be the same so that when you detune them, you've got the same two waves detuned slightly apart. If you do use unison to do this, you totally can. The only thing is, if I just correct the semitones there, the only thing is that if you use more than two, it sort of cancels out the that sort of pulsating aspect of the sound. It is quite usable because the pulsating sound, it gets louder and quieter, and so that can make it a bit harder to mix with. But it's also one of the most sort of like well-known parts of that sound. Like the pulsating Reese is kind of like a fundamental in that sound. But you can also change that by, if you went down to just two voices, this should, in theory, have the same effect. Yeah, it does. I'm just going to detune it some more, and that might be able to hear that a bit easier. Yeah, and if you're smart, you can actually detune it at exactly the right amount so that it pulses in time with your track. I'll leave you to experiment with that, though. You just want to experiment with the amount of detuning that you're going to use. I'm not going to use unison, though, because I want the two separate waves, because I'm going to do two different things to them. So, oh yeah, it was already detuned, that one. So this is now 30 up and 30 down. Fantastic. So yeah, so next, if I go here again, I've got a thing I can press buttons. Look, hang on. Woo! Sorry, this is just very exciting for me. So we have next one will be filter movement. I don't follow this exactly. I'll link it in case you want it. Can I just put it in the chat? I can link it in the description of this video as well. If you have, this is a really bad link. No, I do not like that. Okay, I'll find a better link, which is not just a ridiculously long URL. If I haven't posted it in the description of this video and you're watching this after I've posted it live, please just send me a comment and I'll post it in the description. I will have just forgotten because I'm a big idiot brain. Okay, so yeah, so we will do some filter movement next. But I might do some distortion before I do the frequency separation. I might add some effects. I don't know yet. We're just going to see how this pans out. So we're going to get back to here. Okay. So this is something you can't do in a lot of synths exactly, but it's not a big deal. This is just a way of working in this particular synth. But in the generator sections here where you add the waves, I can add in actually filtering here straight away. So basically I'm filtering each wave individually before it even hits like another type of filter or another wave. A type of filter that's quite useful in these situations is a notch filter. This is this kind of filter here where you take out just a small, it's like a band pass filter where you have just a narrow range, except it's deleting it. So the narrow range is there, but it's like removed in that narrow range. So this is quite interesting because you remove sections of the frequency spectrum. So if I just play one on its own, and I move this around, you can hear that actually adds quite a lot of movement to the sound. Another thing you can do is you can mess around with the Q as well, which Q will make this broader or narrower in terms of like how hard it's cutting. So it'd be better if I actually put these on two different things. I'm going to add in some modulation to control this. A lot of the time people want a lot more control over these patches than is actually really needed. In my experience, the joy of these things comes from the unpredictable nature, the unknowledgeable. Oh, hi there. Great, thanks. The Pezzy 97. I'm wondering. That username, it reminds me of somebody else I know, but I'm not sure if that is or not. I assume probably not. But welcome, thanks for joining us. What was I saying? So yeah, so part of the joy is actually the unpredictable nature, is actually sort of like enjoying the way that it brings chaos to the situation. So quite often using random LFOs is a really good way to do that. So a random LFO, well, let's first start with an LFO. If anybody doesn't know what an LFO is kind of a continuous controller that will control something in the synth. You can link the controller to an effect. You could link it to the volume, for example, or you could link it to the tuning, or you could link it to a number of different other things. But it's continuous and will move in a continuous fashion. This one down here is I'm going to do one of my clever keyboard shortcuts. Hang on, I'm going to put it, if I make it into just a normal LFO to start with. So here we go. So this here is our LFO. How do I do a box? This here is our LFO. Oh, I realize I'm in the way a bit. Can we go that way? Yeah. Yeah. There we go. So this is an LFO. And if you see the, if you control this, if you link this to something in the synth, you will have a movement where it does something. So if it's, say, for its volume, it would go loud, quiet, loud, quiet, loud, quiet. Sorry, other way around. Loud, quiet, loud, quiet, loud. Yeah. Or if you did it, if you linked it to the filter, you would have like a wow, wow kind of effect. A random LFO is kind of the same thing, except with random movement instead. So let us do that. If I change these settings to smooth, and then then you can see this sort of random sort of soft movement. And using this is quite a lot more chaotic because you can't predict what's going to happen. But it does make it quite fun in order to do that. How do I get back out again? There we go. So I'm going to link this to the cutoff position of our thing here. Now I don't want it to go all the way down the bottom, so I'm not going to put it too far. And now we have some random movement on one of our oscillators. I'm also going to create another random LFO, and I'm also going to make this smooth, but I'm going to turn the speed up on this one so it like jumps about quite a lot more. You see, it says random, but it's still fairly predictable. There's not like if you put jitter all the way up, I think you end up with some slightly more unpredictable movement. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to add that to the Q factor. So it's going to be very narrow sometimes and very wide other times. So we've got that. Now I'm going to do the same thing to this other group, because why not? Now, where these are being filtered out from each other, we'll lose a little bit of that weird effect in the parts that kind of like have been deleted from each other. So that could maybe be interesting. I'm going to add them to the opposite controls. So this one is going to be on the Q. And we're going to turn the cutoff up here more like. And then this one is going to be on the cutoff. I'm going to put that up near the top. I don't want to cut too much near the bottom end because I want to keep the bass sounds. So you see when this opens, you see when this one here. Oh, I need to figure this out. Sorry about this. That I haven't figured out that keyboard shortcut opens that at the same time. I'll just do an arrow. This here, when it's very wide and near the bottom, if you see, it kind of gets rid of all of that Reese effect. So you see when it opens near the bottom. You might be able to hear that. I'm not because it's random. It's not going to do it when I need it to. Anyway, so this is the basis of the sound that we're going to be working with. One of the things I like to do with these sounds is I like to, first of all, oh, hang on, I've just realized something's broken. I really like to do filtering followed by distortion. So this is something that I like to experiment with a lot at the moment. This is a little bit one of my hobby horse things. I love how. Sorry, apologies for not looking up. The Pezzy97 says, "I love that Phase Plant shows the LFO in Serum 1. In Serum, I think it doesn't update live. Yeah, it doesn't. Another thing that is great is that you'll see the waves update in real time as well in Phase Plant. Like one of the really nice things about that is there's a lot of visual feedback, and it can really help, especially when you're learning synths and learning things about these kind of things. I think that's super useful, super helpful. Okay, so we're gonna do some filtering. So I'm gonna do just a normal low pass filter. And then we're going to do a crap load of distortion. So I'm just going to add in some, I'm going to try just ordinary distortion here to start with. There's a really nice... Interesting. So there's quite a nice thing that I've noticed recently, which is when you experiment with filters with a very low cutoff going straight into a distortion, you can end up with like some really nice artifacts that sound like really crispy and like interesting, and I really like that. But currently I think definitely sounding better with it more open, I think, in this one. I might try it with some Q, which will add a bit of what's called resonance, which is... just in case, again, I'll explain filters quickly before we go on, because I'm always conscious that that not everybody knows exactly what everything is. So a filter is simply, it just cuts out harmonic content. It cuts out frequencies. So if you see on our spectrograph here, let me put the filter after the distortion. So this is our EQ over this side. If I have the filter going like this this is called a low pass filter, as in it lets the low frequencies through, it cuts out the high frequencies. So if I do this, you can see on the graph here, all of the high frequencies are getting cut out until we're left with just the low notes. So that's a filter. So putting a filter before a distortion has an interesting effect, because you imagine the filtered sound then being distorted. This is kind of like something you have to imagine in the sort of way the order of the effects happen. Now, in some synths, there is very easy to reorganize the effects and the way which one happens when, and others it's less easy to do that. But you can always add effects after your synth. You don't have to keep everything within the synth box itself. I love Phase Plant because you can do tons just in the synth and you don't have to use all of those external effects. But if you aren't able to like do that in your synth, you could add an EQ or a filter after the synth in the synth chain, in this effects chain here, and then add distortion after that, and then you can automate those separately outside, and that is a totally legit way of doing it. So let's have a listen. So we currently have kind of like a very basic ordinary gnarly Reese. One thing I am going to do, which is again a classic technique, is I'm going to take the polyphony down to 1. So that means I won't be able to play more than one note. If I have the polyphony up, I can play notes together. And it sounds pretty bad. That's not the point, however. The point is that when you have a polyphony of 1, you can use a feature called legato, and you can also use glide, which is where things will glide from one note to another. If I have it on legato, it will glide when I have two notes played over one another. I will just leave it at that, to be honest. But yeah, I'm going to turn the glide up to about 400. So if I play them separately, they don't glide. But if I play them over one another, like the other note is still playing when I play the second note, that's what legato is the notes are sort of joined together. They don't like have space between them. Then we get that gliding effect. So it sounds pretty decent so far. I'm gonna now. Again, this is where I kind of go against this particular order of things. Like I will quite often add filtering in and add distortion in a lot. I will keep doing it. We keep stacking the effects and messing around and we just keep playing essentially. So I'm going to try another filter here, and I'm going to try a notch filter, which is what we were doing before. Because these notch filters are happening on the source during the actual generation of the sound phase, those are eventually going to get covered up by a lot of these effects. They're going to be the background texture, but they won't be as prominent. Anything you put as the last effect is probably going to be one of the more prominent effects. So, for example, if we have this going, it'll be much more noticeable than those original ones were on their own separately. Let's see about doing kind of a faster one again. I'm going to do a faster random LFO. What's that one? 2. Let's do something like 4. This might be a bit crazy. Okay, so I'm definitely kind of enjoying the bass sound currently, the effect. My next guess would probably be maybe I would try OTT at this point. Now, you can't use other sort of like third-party plugins inside the synth, obviously, so we're not going to be using actual OTT. But if you go on to Multipass, which is one of the other external effects, this is for breaking down frequencies of your sound. So you can actually put different frequency bands and different effects chains on those frequency bands. It's really, really, it's damn cool. It's probably the main reason I bought this synth, because doing this frequency splitting can help you a lot when you're sound designing. The fact that you're able to just do that in the synth is so useful, because before we used to have to create these long sort of complicated chains or use multiple tracks to sort of get the same effect, and it was a lot more of a ball ache. And this is a lot easier these days. So if I open up, what is it? Dynamics and then no TT. Now this thing has a very noticeable effect, and it sounds kind of very much the same in everything it's used in. It can be a little bit grating. This is I think that it's becoming less popular these days. Mainly for the reason is that it's very noticeable the way that this affects the sound. But OTT is kind of it's a multi-band compressor, essentially. So these are 3 compressors, and these are running on different parts of the frequency spectrum. You see here, this one is affecting everything just below 88.3 hertz. So those are low bass notes. Then this one controls everything in the mid-range between 80 and 2.5 kilohertz. So that is going from like low bass to like high mids, and then this is all the high frequencies are created by here. Now, it works in a way that it changes the dynamics of each section. I know that might be confusing and complicated, but essentially it also affects the volume and also how kind of aggressive these bit sound. So I'll just play it without and then with. So this is without. Now I have an idea of roughly what this will probably sound like. Yeah, it sounds actually worse at this point, which is quite fun, but we can mess with it. For a start, one of the reasons it sounds worse is it was just quieter. This is a genuine hot tip for people who do sound design or interested in sound design. If something sounds worse, first of all, you need to make sure that it's not just quieter, because quieter sounds sound worse and louder sounds sound better to nearly everybody. This is kind of a universal principle. So it's definitely a good idea to try and like gain match the sound. So like that's not complicated. I mean, just literally try and get roughly the same volume, even just to your ear. So we'll do this again. I'm just changing the out gain here so it will match the level. Okay, so you can hear when I put this on, it's a bit crunchier and a bit sort of like a bit gnarlier in the top range. In the very high frequencies, it's a bit sort of crunchier. That's already quite crunchy, but then we turn it on. That's because the very top band of this is reacting more strongly. Now I can turn down that top gain. And you can use these gains, and you can also use the compression settings to affect how that sound kind of like sounds overall. I don't really want to get into too crazy detail about like OTT. It's something to experiment with. Just remember that like it does have quite a noticeable sort of sound, and you know, people kind of expect these kind of sounds these days, but it can be useful. It's different than just using say EQ, because I could do the same thing with a frequency split, and then I could also just turn the volume of that section up, for example. It is similar to that because we're making parts of the spectrum, parts of the frequency range louder, but also because the fact we've got actual compression, it has more of a dramatic effect. The compression changes the sound more than just like EQ alone or just volume changes alone. That's probably the best way I can describe it without getting into the real weeds with this whole thing. I might just mess around with some of the settings of it. I say, now we have the opposite problem. Now it's a lot louder afterwards. So we'll bring that volume down again. Now, a nice feature of Phase Plan is that almost any effect that you have, nearly any effect, not actually, but nearly, has a mix knob. So these filters unfortunately don't, which is a real shame. But yeah, here this No TT has a mix knob, so I can actually turn that down on and off. One thing that I'm thinking about this effect is that I would like it to be a little bit more pronounced and a little bit more dramatic. So I'm going to just do some messing around. Okay. Okay, now we have that. Now that's quite a bit more sort of dramatic when it's on and off. And this is going to be the first thing that I make a macro for. So we're going to put OTT on off. Okay. and then we're going to set that to the mix knob here. So whenever I put this on, you'll see the mix knob goes up there. See, we've created a routing. All I did was literally click this plus and then drag it onto the plus of this mix, and then I've made that a full circle, which means that it will, when this is low, it's at the minimum, and when it's maximum, it's at the maximum. I can change that so it was like half, and then when I put this up to the maximum, it would only go to half of the mix. So that's kind of how that works. But yeah, I want the full control. So we're going to do loads more effects. So we've got no TT in there quite early in our effects chain, and so this being on and off is going to have more of a dramatic effect later when we're adding more stuff on top of it all. So I've got a feeling that will be quite interesting. I'm wondering whether I want to control the distortion here. A feature of distortion that you need to keep in mind as well is that distortion also increases the volume usually. Just the way that clipping works actually ends up meaning that there's more time spent at the highest and lowest points of the sound waves, meaning as well that just generally there's more beef that is sort of squeezed out of it. That is a terrible terrible description of what's happening with regards to distortion, but like nearly always the gain is going to get quite a lot more. Distortion also adds harmonics to your sound as well. So if you've got a basic sound, you add distortion, you end up with a brighter sound normally. That's one of the things that it does. You'll be very familiar with it on guitar. So you have like an acoustic guitar, you add distortion, it makes it way brighter and louder and like, you know, and those kind of things. And so it can take a very simple wave and make it more complicated, which is one of the reasons that it's so useful. Again, I was wondering whether this would have been interesting to mess around with. I do think it might be, but it might be a bit early in the chain to be messing with, because if we are the more we stack onto the chain, the more effects we have, the kind of more crazy that's going to be when we actually change that. So I'm going to think about that. The volume level there going from high to low does slightly worry me a bit. If I was to actually add something, there is a way I can counteract that. I could add in a volume control before it that is louder when the mix is low on this, so that it keeps it sort of a more stable volume. So we might try that later, but I think we should move on. So we still haven't got out of it sounding really, really dry. At the moment, this is what we call kind of a dry sound. It's got movement. There's interesting things happening. It's sloshing about and doing interesting things. But we could do with it sounding a bit more stereo, at least in the higher ranges, and we could also do with some like actual effects. So let's get into the fun part, really. So these effects are, what should we do first? I'm kind of thinking I want to do some more multi-band distortion. So I'm going to add in another multipass because it's fun to actually add distortion, but to just a specific range of something, because you just get a lot of control with that. So if I add in, I'm going to do shaper table. No, I'm not. I'm going to do, is it just shaper? Yeah, it's shaper. That'll be fine. Where is the thingy? I think we're getting a bit out of hand there. I'm thinking we might be clipping or something. yeah, I'm going to just knock this down a little bit. Yeah, there we are. +4 there. Yeah, so I'm going to have to take this down a little bit. I hopefully didn't wreck anybody's hearing there. So again, this is quite a dramatic difference, I think. And that's only with the drive up that much. So we're getting into sort of very much like beehive, angry bees territory. One thing that is a good thing to look out for when you're making patches like this is to be adding too much detail to that top end. It's nice to have it because you can filter it out and you can like use it or not use it. Like, but when you have really detailed bass patches, if you look at this again here, I'm going to close this now. You look here, you see how much space this is taking up in the frequency spectrum. These bass sounds are so full frequency that basically you can use them almost on their own. So like this kind of like bass sound would work with just literally drums, because it'll be drums and then a massive bass sound. That's essentially the some of the reasoning for it. It's like it's so full range and fully like juicy that it can be a little bit unwieldy to use. You have to be careful and only really use the fully open, like gnarly version of that sound with that. Always put a clipper at the end of the chain. Yeah. The thing is that like you can do that, but we're going to be messing around with the gains so much during this. I'm probably going to add multiple levels more of distortion. We're probably going to add loads more effects. So I'd constantly have to be editing that clipper as well, because it would just wreck it. You'd be pushing into the clipper and you'd be pushing harder and harder and harder into the clipper. If you're talking about like to control the overall gain, is that what you mean, Digipax? But yeah, I mean, it is like you can, if to like save, to make sure that nobody dies, nobody's ears get destroyed. Or what am I doing? I can whack a limiter on here, yeah. Just to make sure. My cam is frozen. Oh, okie dokie. I wonder why that is. Can I reboot that? Huh. Okay. I am not sure. Right. Is there a way to like refresh it? I'm gonna just unplug it and plug it back in, like the true IT professional I am. Oh, damn. Yes, fantastic. Okay, see, that is always something you should try first. Turning it back on and off again, always the number one thing you should do. Just for security, yes, thanks Digipax. Yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah, just in case we annihilate anybody's speakers or headphones. Sorry, I'm dyslexic, so reading people's usernames is going to be fun. Just giving you the heads up on that one. Let's see. Chaotech DJ. I really appreciate you doing this in Phaseplant. Picked it up a couple of months ago and you're explaining it so well. That I'm really glad that you have picked this up. I love this program. It's my absolute favorite synth. Has been for years. And it's nowhere near as daunting as it looks. It does take some experience to use it and to sort of like get your head around what all these effects are and everything, because there's so goddamn many. But that is one of the best parts about it. Like, you've got so much to work with. And even down here in the modulation section, there are so many things you can do. We've literally got a LFO table, so we can use like wave tables for our LFOs, which is wild. I don't know many things that do that. We've got randoms, we've got envelopes. Yeah, there's all sorts of controllers. You can, yeah, it's the bee's knees. So, right, where were we up to? So we were adding some more distortion, because you're going to see me add distortion a lot all the time, because I'm a whore for distortion. Just putting that out there. So, yeah, so we got the distortion here. Now, because we've got multipass open, I'm just going to use and abuse it. So, it can be quite nice to do things on your top end. They are the first things that are going to get filtered out if you do any more brutal filtering after this. So one of the things that's nice about Phaseplant, again, you can just keep on adding filters, you can keep on adding distortion, and at any stage you can do that. So I'm going to add in... I'm wondering what I should do here. I might do distortion. Not distortion. We've already got distortion on this. I might add in either reverb or... should I add reverb or should I add... Yeah, I'm going to try some reverb. So you'll notice that we've got reverb on this patch now, but it's only reverbing in that very top range. That's quite subtle. But I quite like it. And also on this multipass, you can affect where the cutoff point of it is. So when I'm moving this frequency band is getting larger, so we're distorting more into the mid-range, and the reverb is also moving into the mid-range. As far as I know, you can also automate that. Yeah. You can automate almost anything in this synth. It's absolutely batshit. And I love it. Right, so we're not going to do that. Just to make things not as crazy complicated as possible. I might do that further up. Okay, so I'm going to try another effect here. We're going to go for a flanger. This has, again, when you put it on the whole sound, it's a really, really big effect. Oh, sorry, we've got some more things. Story's back. Hey, Story dude, how's it going? Convolution would be nice. Yes, convolution is one of my favorite effects. But one of the things with convolution is that it generally makes our sound darker. So it nearly always, dulls the sound down. So it's kind of like the way convolution works. This is one of the most complicated things to possibly try and explain. And to explain it in a simple way is really difficult. A lot of people know the effect convolution because they use a convolution reverb, which is essentially where you will steal the reverb of a real space and then you can put a sound through that reverb. So that is not the only way to use convolution, however. Convolution is really where you're taking any sound and you're putting any other sound through it. It's like the character of one sound completely changes the character of another sound. But that always works by removing frequencies. You end up with a duller sound, usually, almost always. So, for example, I can actually like sample like these speaker cones here, for example, and then I could play a sound that would sound like they're coming through these speaker cones. These ones wouldn't be a good example because they're actually very accurate, so you would have not much darkening. It would probably sound quite similar to the original sound. But say if you used like a tiny little shit speaker and you recorded through that, then you could make your sound like it was coming out of a tiny little shit speaker. And that can sound really cool, but it does sound a lot less bright and a lot less complicated. So I will almost certainly be messing around with convolution later in this signal chain. But yeah, let's try a flanger for now. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to create in here. I'm going to create a macro. You can create macros inside multipass as well, and then you can use the macros on the main phase plant to control that macro. There is so much like that you can nest stuff inside stuff and inside stuff in this program. It gets quite wild. For example, I can literally put another multipass inside this multipass, for example. So you can imagine it can get completely crazy and pointless and over the top. Like, I don't think most people would use it that way, but it's possible. You can also use snap heap in there, which is another similar thing. This is kind of like parallel serial processing. It's just another effects chain. So yeah, like, it's pretty cool. So I'm going to do a macro here which like turns this on and off essentially. Do I want to do that? No, let's create some more goings on in this section. So you can also solo each part. Now this is, if I leave this soloed, please somebody remind me that I've left it soloed, because I sometimes will leave a multipass soloed and then carry on working on the sound and forget that I had it soloed. So we're gonna solo. So it's just this section. Now we're gonna lose some of the bass on this. Now it's gonna sound it's not gonna sound as sexy as it was before. But we're just currently soloing this one little bit of the frequency spectrum. Like if I do it down here, you can hear that those are just the very bass frequencies. So the reason I'm doing that is because I want to work with this section now. So again, some interesting effects that we can do. A really cool one, you might have seen this or you might not have, is delay works in a really, really weird way. So delay under 30 milliseconds has a strange effect on audio. There's a thing called the Haas effect, which it actually sort of like, it makes the differences in between a delay and then a kind of another unusual effect. To me it sounds like kind of metallic or a different kind of effect, but at a certain point it becomes not really a delay anymore, and it becomes kind of another type of oscillator almost. You know, it's moving so fast in terms of a delay that you can't really hear the delay anymore. It kind of almost has a note. So a delay works by having a signal and then the signal is then repeated. It's not a great effect for these long sustained bass sounds like something like this, where the bass is just sort of like happening the whole time. It's not the best because you aren't going to hear like the repeat. When you have something that goes like ding like that, you'll hear with a delay it will go ding 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 like that. So you have a sharp little sound and then it repeats. But as I said, we're not using it quite like a delay here. We're going to use it like this weird resonator effect that it has. So we're going to put a delay in. So you can hear that that's not the best sounding thing in the world ever at the moment. And we're going to we're going to crank it down. Now, it's not very loud because we've got this thingy going. I'm just going to shove in a gain plugin so we can just turn it up. It's a really interesting effect. Now, I like it. I don't know if it's going to work in the context of the whole pack, of the whole sound. Definitely something you should experiment with. Using a delay with a really, really low repeat has this weird, metallic sort of like resonator sort of like effect that goes with it, and it sounds pretty damn cool. It's quite a useful technique for using on vocals and stuff as well, actually. But the problem is that is that you end up creating these tones, and so then that can completely just destroy the tonal the quality of your sound. So I'm currently playing F. Just for reference, this is an F. So that's no longer sounding like an F. If I take off the rest of the thing, it might sound more like an F. Oh! Okay, I kind of love that. Decipher, I got that one. Thanks for commenting. Slapback delay. What? I'm actually not sure what a slapback delay is. Isn't that just simply the same sort of like delay that we're using here, just a single delay? I'm not sure. I want to Google what that is. I've heard the term before, but I can't necessarily think off the top of my head what that actually is. So, slapback delay. A classic short audio effect creating a single distinct echo that adds depth and a vintage feel. Yeah, I think it's just a normal delay. It's it might be a sort of a name of like the early tape delays. Kind of the way that they work is, it just repeats a sort of like a transient moment. So a moment that sort of sticks out is like boom, you would have it like boom, 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 boom. That, I think, is essentially slapback delay. We're not using delay like that here. We're using delay in a different way. So under 30 milliseconds, delay sort of like stops like being perceived as a delay. And because the repeat is happening so fast and faster and faster and faster and faster, it kind of starts to resonate itself. It kind of becomes its own note, and it kind of almost becomes a little bit of its own kind of oscillator. So it's kind of interesting and a cool effect. But yeah, the problem is that you end up with these atonal sounds. Now, if you're making noisier kind of sounding basses, which we kind of are here, you don't necessarily need to worry about them being tonal, because a lot of the times their tracks were just like they didn't have like specific notes in their drops. If you check a track like Diplodocus or whatever, it's like there's not really notes there at all. It's just all weird, squelchy, squeaky, grunty noises. And I fucking love it. But no, what's another really good example? That's what I've just completely forgotten the name of one of my favorite noisier tracks. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, like a lot of their tracks like don't specifically have like very clear notes. You will also find that when you're doing a lot of modulation, which is like where you change synth settings, like that's what we're going to do a little bit later in this, is that we're going to do like some kind of modulation and mess around with the different sounds. I'm going to speed up in a little bit as well. We're going to just whack in a load more effects so we can just get a move on with this, and then we can do the modulation. Because that's where all the fun and interest comes with these sounds. But I forgot what I was saying. It doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do is we're going to apologies, I have an ADHD brain, so sometimes if I'm thinking about something else, my original thought disappears. If anybody helps, a slapback delay only repeats one time. Oh, really? You can make it with a pre-delay on reverbs where you turn the decay... Right, yeah. Where you turn the decay and slice down. Yeah. I guess, a slapback delay repeats one time. Yes. So with a pre-delay on reverb, essentially you're allowing the reverb to have a delay before the reverb starts. That actually is usually a mix. It helps with mix because you don't have the... reverb happening over the moment of audio that it's linked to. Also, it kind of represents, it's kind of a bit more like real reverbs as well, because real reverbs don't start immediately as well. You first of all have to have your sound at least reflect once before reverb can actually start building up in real life. Yeah. I got you, Digipax, no worries. I wish I could remember what the hell I was yammering on about. Probably the atonal thing. Anyway, I kind of like this. The only problem is that it uses it because when you change notes, if this delay stays the same, that note that it's creating is going to stay the same, and but everything else is going to change relative to it. So it will sound more or less atonal. But if you're going to do it for one note, let's say I'm just going to pick that this is going to be an F, because I've only got F and F sharp as my bass notes for this particular track. That is kind of now more tuned towards the actual note of F. Kind of like it, and I can also get rid of it. Let's just solo this again. So yeah, it has that sort of metallic tearing sort of like effect. It's pretty cool. I'm going to get rid of this gain because I'm actually going to distort that. Okay, I'm kind of liking it so far. It's not anything super special or interesting or completely crazy, but it's pretty cool. Oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say. When you do modulation, you can modulate kind of anything. You can even modulate the pitch. And if you're doing something without like a lot of melodic content, doing pitch modulation will mean that you end up with like crazy like patches that wave all over the place. Let me just get my pitch bend range. I'm going to turn that up to like 12, and then that was me messing around with the pitch bend. So you can do crazy things like that. So that's just an option for any of you who want to do that kind of thing. Okie dokie. Right. I want to like whack in a bit more sort of effects. Do I want to just make this so that this whole mix goes down? Yeah, I think we'll do that. So this is going to be our multi-distortion, what's it? Not multi-pass. I'm just going to put split fric dist. So that's going to be this one. Although actually I'm going to turn it down and then put that on there like that. So yeah. So now you'll see with just these two particular effects sort of chains really already added a lot of character, and like if you just mess with just these two knobs as we go, we've already got quite a lot of like variation happening. So eventually what we're going to do is we're going to do like a big long pass with like a load of drums, and we will record our performance of us messing around with our macros and stuff. I could potentially add them to my MIDI controller so I could like play them as I go, but not sure I'll bother doing that this time. I might just mess around with them in here. So let's add some more effects. It's useful in the end to have like, again, like a global filter, like, but it has such a dramatic effect on the whole sound. You literally lose all of the brightness straight away. But again, you can have it so that it's completely open. So I'm putting it in this chain. So like lane 1 is, it sort of goes in parallel. So, well, at the moment it does, because this lane 1 goes to lane 2, and then this lane 2 goes to lane 3, and then this lane 3 goes to the master. So essentially it goes everything in this chain, followed by everything in this chain, followed by everything in this chain, and then that goes to the master. So you don't have to have it set up like that. You can set it up differently so that they're separate, like, and then you can mix them in. But that's complicated. At the moment, what's happening is everything here is going into everything here. So I'm going to keep our filter there, and I'm also going to make a low pass as well, a high pass as well, because high passing a sound like this is also quite useful. So those two filters being at the end are very useful, and we can put this as low pass and then high pass, and then we'll just add these in. Again, I'm just doing the most basic type of thing. So having our low pass completely open will mean that the whole thing's open, and then our high pass again here, because it's already low, I'm going to put it here, not to make things complicated. You can do it in reverse, so like this one would be low while it's like completely open, but I think that would be confusing just for the sake of this, because it would work in reverse. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So here we go. Oh, did I do it? Yeah, I did it. So there we go. So now we've got two global things for high pass and low pass. So let's do some more effects. One thing that I definitely want to do, I want to add, have I left on that fucking, I have, haven't I? Oh no. No, thank God. Right. One thing I am noticing quickly, this is just me using my ears and everything, is that this patch, it's actually really removing a lot of our bass from this. So I'm actually going to just put in a gain here and turn up our bass. Because I don't want to lose our bass. I might even put in a compressor just to like... do I want to use that one? What about dynamics? I don't want to destroy our bass too much. Okay, it's getting to be quite fun. Now, I'm tempted to add distortion after these filters. It's probably not a good idea, but I'm just going to try it because I want to just see what this sounds like. This is me just completely freeballing now, just completely freewheeling, just figuring out what I want to do, just messing around. I generally would want these to be like the last things on our chain. Maybe reverb would also be the last thing on our chain as well, so we could maybe try distortion and reverb. The reason I want distortion here is because when I high pass, I kind of want it to be more gnarly. That's pretty cool. I'm going to put this as global distortion. So this is kind of like our... Do I want to do it that way? Oh, no. I always confuse myself doing it this way. No, that's the reverse version I was talking about before. You see, when I pull that down, that goes to maximum. Yeah, we're not doing it that way. Get rid of that, Tom. What are you doing, idiot? Right. This way. Oh, I'm going to put that minimum as well. Plus. Okay, so... I always like distortion after filters. I just think it sounds cool. So I'm always tempted to do that, essentially. So you see how much control we have here. There's some randomness to it, but it's also kind of like interesting. We've got like different ways to affect our sound, and I like it. So what we are missing quite a bit is some more reverb and different things like that. I like having a global reverb. Again, the reason for that is because one of the nicest sort of sounds to me is when you automate the mix of reverb as well. So unlike the other reverb that we have in here, I think it's in here, isn't it? Just on our high frequencies here. This reverb here is now going after literally every effect. So it blurs everything, kind of makes it all quite a lot more washy and like slightly less usable. But we can experiment with the mix knob. So that has quite a dramatic effect as well, you see. So we're going to add global reverb. I'm going to add that as well. These all have quite a big effect, these global ones here. I've put global as well here. Global low pass. Oop. Okay, hearing the track again makes me just realize how completely unnecessary doing this is. It probably doesn't need another bass. So, let's do some more inline effects. So, again, just messing around. What can we do? This is a lovely feature of this particular synth, filter table. It is a really weird multimodal sort of filter that like has strange effects. So, for example, this filter here morphs from like a low pass to like a band pass to a high pass to like this is a comb filter. And yeah, so if I just play, that has such a dramatic effect again. I think I'm tempted to put it in a snap heap. Snap heap is, imagine this sort of situation, lane 1, lane 2, lane 3, but we're actually just doing it in line. So we have that again, but inside the current effects chain that we're having. It sounds confusing, but it's just, imagine like nesting effects within effects within effects. So the reason I'm doing it this way is because I kind of want to be able to affect, I kind of want distortion and that. As I say, I add a lot of distortion to these things. I add a lot of filtering and a lot of distortion, usually when I'm messing around with these things. So I kind of want at least the filter table. and then the distortion. I'm going to add in a shaper table as well. This is also similar to this. It's like it's using wavetables to sort of like add distortion, but again, you can like experiment with the shape. So as these are like morphing around, and I'm going to add some random shit to this as well. So we're going to do it like a slower one and a faster one, and then these are going to be, let's do that. And what we're going to affect with it, we're going to affect the position of that one. No, maybe not. I'm going to go slower on both ish, but we want different speeds, and then we're going to affect the position on this one as well. So we should have two different completely random. I'm going to just change the position there, and we're going to. Do I want it more in the middle? Yeah, let's start at that point. So the reason I'm doing it in this is because I can then also turn it mix down. Now we've got this filter going. We could try a different morph. There's like a bunch of different ones. Now these probably getting a little bit out of control. I'm also going to affect the cutoff of this one with this random. So that's me playing with the global reverb. That keeps on falling off, this little circle. I have this little circle so you can see where my cursor is, like a bit easier. When you hold STRG, I'm not sure, and click it, will duplicate your LFO and R effect. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure what you're saying there. When you hold, are you talking about control? Control, yeah. You mean like this? Is that what you mean? I am aware of that. You can duplicate kind of anything in FacePlant that way. You can click Control and drag, and you've just got a copy of it. You can do the same thing with your oscillators and all sorts. Now, this one that we've just added is so fucking brutal and in extreme. Things are getting right out of hand. Right, cool. Thanks for that. Sorry about that. Control in English, yeah. Cool. So, I'm going to call this Extreme Effects. Okay, so this one's going to be this one. That's like if we want it to go turbo mental. And because somebody mentioned it, let's do convolution as the last thing. We'll say this is going to be the last thing because I want to show you my next process, which is like our idea jam, our fuck around, our mud pie, or whatever we call it. Makes you faster when you just need some randoms. Yeah, totally. I kind of agree. I should have done it that way. It would have been easier. You can't always think of these things when you're on the fly live, though, unfortunately. So, but yes, that would have been useful instead of me spending time messing around with the settings. Okay, so we're going to add convolution to this as well, and it's going to be the last effect that we've got on here. Do I do it? I'm going to do it here. Convolver. Again, this is going to be kind of a dramatic effect. Thanks. You love the bass so far. A especially with the what's it called, pitch automation. It's so gnarly, man. The fun comes when we will play it later, because when we actually mess around with these settings while it's playing, we end up with all sorts of interesting interactions and interesting unpredictable sounds, and then we can fuck around with the audio afterwards as well. So we end up with like quite a lot of shit that we can play with, and we can make little riffs and we can make little ideas. Even if I don't use this in this track, I could end up making like a bit of a riff for a new drop of some sort. So no pressure. Yeah, well, unfortunately, doing live is pressure, isn't it? It's like one of those things. But like, I think that music production is like when you're a complete novice, it can be a little bit hard to let go of the sort of desire to want to be really good. You know, you always want to be really good, but you just can't be to start with. You have to sort of like get better and just play and mess around. So one of my biggest tips, really genuinely, is to just allow yourself to experiment, allow yourself to play. You know, it doesn't have to be a be all and end all, like end of the world situation. You know, it's really, music is a game. It's a thing we play. You know, we don't work music, we play music. So you know, if you take away the pressure of it having to be some sort of fantastic, wonderful thing, then you know, you end up being able to sometimes do stuff that sounds cool. Like I prefaced this whole video saying I didn't know if it was going to work out. I didn't know if it was going to be something I want to use. Currently, I like this bass sound, but I agree. I also like it. But yeah, but there was just as much of a chance where I could have ended up going, you know what? I'm kind of like, meh, whatever. And sometimes that happens too, and that's totally cool. And sometimes we end up with things that we want, and sometimes we end up with things that we don't want. But if you always worry about being great and always worry about being fantastic, you probably never make anything. And that's the real tragedy. And we don't want that. We want we want to make stuff, even if it's a bit shitty. That's my theory anyway. Okay. So last effect. I've actually just edited that extreme effect. Yes, great. So let's just hear the difference between. Those extreme effects really mangle the whole thing. Okay, I'm going to touch this knob with great trepidation. So the convolver, again, we're putting it last in the line of everything, apart from the global reverb. It's going after the global reverb. Oh, I wonder, can I just move these around? No, I can't really, can I? There's no way to reorder these. No, it doesn't matter. So the global reverb is kind of the last thing. It would have been useful if this was over here before these global effects, really, because it would just like be logically easier when you're using it. But let's do one last one, which is going to be the convolution. I'm just going to put membrane. Insane in the membrane. Oh, I shouldn't quote anything copyrighted music, should I? That's probably a bad idea. So, and we're going to do mix like this as well, like we just have on everything. You don't have to do it this way. There's millions of ways you can do it. You can also have it so it affects one of the elements as opposed to just the mix. I find the mix is useful because you've either got that effect on or not, you know, so that's quite useful. These ones don't affect the mix. These affect the cutoff. So you see here, that's affecting the cutoff. There isn't actually a mix knob on the filters on this program, which is a shame. They should add that, but I don't know how easy or difficult that would be. So I think you're totally right. Oh, hang on a second. We've got some more things. We've got that's great advice. I get really into perfectionist mindset writing tracks, and that is limiting. Oh yeah, 100%. You know, save your perfectionism for when you've actually finished your track. Then you can be a little bit perfectionist, tweaking things, messing around, but like, don't let it actually stop you from making stuff. You know, I made a whole video about how to finish tracks, and it's one of my top tricks. The video is called like how to finish tracks faster, so fast it feels illegal, I think. Basically, yeah, if you allow that in, it will stop you creating, and that's actually a proper tragedy. You don't want that to happen. Just make something that's bad. Just literally say to yourself, I don't care if this is bad. I'm just going to make something. And then at the end, you'll have something. And it might not suck as much as you think. And what it will do is it will teach you stuff. It'll teach you what you don't like as well as what you do like, if it is indeed a little bit shit. So that's fine. I think you're totally right, and we all love happy accidents. Yes, we do. We love happy accidents. My entire music career probably is happy accidents until I went to university to study music, which I did in 2021. I actually had no formal training at all in music, but by that point I'd still written about 25 albums. So without knowing anything really super technical about it all, I'd created fucking loads. and some of it is well shit. But it's still fun to listen to, even though some of it is a bit bad. But like, you know, it's cool. And there's a good amount of it also that is not shit. Like, there's a good amount of it that's actually quite good. So there you go. How to be a musician, how to be an artist of any kind. Just, yeah, allow the shitness to be in there. It's fine. Okay, Convolver, we'll do this because I was thinking about ending the stream around 5, but I will probably push it a little bit further if I haven't managed to show this last part of the workflow, because this last part of the workflow is like one of the really cool, fun and sexy bits that we end up doing, and I think probably people will be interested in seeing that. That's really where we get to the, where is it? Oh, that's the wrong button. Is that it? I can't see my screen. Yep. We get to this bit here at the bottom, which is the resampling. So yeah, we haven't actually done comb filtering, chorus, or phaser. We did do a bit of a flanger in one of them, which is similar. But I've got so much happening on this track, on this effect. What's it called? This patch already, that it's going to be overkill. At a certain point, it's going to be overkill how much more effects you're going to add. You'll get a diminishing return in what's happening. You can almost always get quite a lot of mileage out of filtering and then distorting again, and then filtering and then distorting again. That will get you a long way because you're deleting frequencies, then you're adding more frequencies, then you're deleting frequencies. So that can be quite good. But the more effects that you stack on top of each other, the less that they'll be audible, you know? So you've got to be careful. Anyway, the last thing we're going to do is Convolver. We want to make this sound like it's coming out of some farty little shit speaker somewhere. That's what I'm kind of imagining. Now we have... I don't have a ton of them. I've only got the ones that are in here. Let's have a look. These are woodwind samples, grains... Ooh, Foley. That might be interesting. Boiling oil. Is this actually on? No. Oh, wow. Okay, that's crazy. Okay, so I don't know if you could hear me then. Sorry. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. What I really would like is some bad speakers, but I don't actually have like bad speakers specifically. I would like some speakers that are literally broken and to record them. One of the earliest things that I have a video of, well, I've seen videos of, is Noisier. They are literally recording their bass output on a crappy broken, like a broken woofer like this, you know, a broken cone with like, it's like flapping about, and they've got a glass and they've got their microphone, and they're going like with the glass and a microphone, and it just looks like fun. It's just the kind of thing that me as a complete nerd sound designer would like to try. And you can do that with convolution as well. Like, it's kind of like a digital way of doing that, messing around with different things. Let's see if there's something specifically here that could be cool. Filters, no. Guitar cabinets, no. They're too bright, you see. I want something that sounds like it's fucking it up, but like not as much as that. That one was kind of mental. Metal grinding. This is probably not going to be good. Okay, this one has a bit of a delay. You can see actually in the waveform that can I just zoom in? You can see in the waveform here that like there's like one peak and there's a second peak and another one. So it's giving a bit of a delay vibe when we're doing that. I should have metal rasp. I don't know. Unfortunately, all of these have like too much they completely destroy the sound. I haven't really got anything specifically that I can like use. You can make these yourself. So you can make weird sounds and then you can just load them in. Like, it's completely doable. These are just like, you use one WAV and then you use another WAV over the top of it. So it's like really easy. It's not like a complicated thing at all either. But yeah, I would like to have some sort of weird little crap speakers. I'm going to just try guitar cabinet. It's not kind of as crappy a speaker as I want. See, the thing is that, like, you know, guitar speakers sound quite nice generally. They have a character, though. They're usually very characterful. So, like, they do impact the way that the brightness of that sound sounds, you know. But they don't do it in such a crazy way because they want to be kind of at least somewhat accurate. These glitches are going to be crazy. See, you can hear the effect a bit better on these like bass cabinets because they don't have like very high highs. So you can see that they affect the sound much more sort of like obviously. But basically any convoluter is always going to remove frequencies. It's never going to add frequencies. So it's always going to be like more muffled afterwards. I'm just going to pick a random guitar cab. Funnily enough, and not even remotely funny actually, because it's obvious, I would like to put distortion after that again. But I'm not going to, because that's just going to get ridiculous. So we have all of our effects. We have all of our things. We've got OTT. We've got this split frequency thing that we did before, which is this one, where we've got like some distortion. We've got like some dynamics. We've got some reverb and flanger. We've got this weird delay. We've got that weird delay thing that creates that sort of strange atonal thing. We've got a global low pass, which are these two filters here. They will have a dramatic effect on the whole sound. And we have, we have the global reverb. Again, another dramatic effect. We have the extreme effects. So you should be able to see that we have a lot that we can play with. You could also, you don't have to just have these macros as well. I could literally make more effects and then use these random LFOs potentially and link them to those. You know, I could do different things, but I kind of enjoy playing around. Or I could even just do this as well, is I could literally just like link these to to these as well, which is something I could do. I'm going to just do your copy paste and then slow it right down. So now we've got random stuff going on, but I'm not going to do that because I think that gets a little bit crazy, and I just want to show a different way of doing it. That is totally a way of doing it, because you get all that randomness and it's interesting, and there's stuff you can't predict quite a lot with that. There's one other thing we could try. We could add another OTT as well. Maybe that would be interesting. Dynamics. Nah. See, it has this kind of a nasally sort of like a kind of thing with OTT, I find sometimes. You hear that? It sounds like something stuck in your nose. Nah, I'm going to leave that. Right. This is it. This is the patch. What should we call it? Let's call it Neuro Wanker. I don't know. I'm not very good at naming my patches. What do we call it here? Neuro Bastard. That'll do. Neuro Bastard. Neuro Bastard. Neuro Bass. And then I'm just going to put some tags in here. Neuro. D&B. Bass. Okay, and I'm going to save it to my delicious patch bay of nonsense. Right, so we have our bass patch, and that only took us 2 hours. Similar to my last bass patch. Now, if you're enjoying this kind of stuff, please leave me a comment under the actual video if you're actually watching it later. Fair play to you if you end up getting all the way through these videos. But yeah, let me know, because I love making bass stuff. But I can do all sorts of different parts. I can do every part of the production sort of like thing. At some point, we're going to have to move forward with this track. We're going to have to make some like more big structural changes to make it actually into the full tune. We're going to have to add some more stuff in there to get that going. And then once we've got that structure, I will then mix it, and I will probably try and do a bunch of the mixing on stream as well, because I think people get really, really messed up with mixing, and it's really not anywhere near as complicated as you think. So I think people probably would be very much interested in seeing mixing. So yeah. So anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to make I'm going to just copy these drums, and we're going to get a shitload of drums. We're going to take it way outside of the... This is one of my other earlier jams with the original bass sound. And I'm going to paste these drums in here. Does that work? Huh. Okay, so I've said this on stream multiple times now, but Ableton is not my first DAW, and I've only been using Ableton for about a year or so. Can I just copy paste? I think I can. So if I'm being an absolute spanner with it, then you know why. Right. That didn't work. I'm just going to, what am I going to do? I'm just going to like drag it, copy it with, oh, is that the end of the phrase? Sorry about this. Yeah, that's the end of the phrase. Okay, I'm just going to drag, copy it. Oh, I should be able to do that. Okay, I'm being an idiot with regards to this. Anyone know what I'm doing wrong? I was worried this would catch me out one time. Maybe it's because I don't have all of the... Yeah, that might be better to do it this way. 2, 3, 4. And then I can just... Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oops. Right. And we've got it in a different section. Okay, and then I'm gonna Control D it. Okay, so now we have a long section of drums. Does that start partway through a bar? Fucking, oh no it doesn't, but it does start partway through a phrase. That's stupid. One of the things I'm least good at is literally just moving around in the damn program. Okay. We're going to copy all of that and we're going to drag it back to the beginning of this bit here. Okay. Hopefully that's fine. Right. Sorry if that's making anyone's eyes bleed watching me do that. I've used a million DAWs over the years, and I actually really like Ableton. I've got to say, like a lot of DAWs, when I start using them, I kind of immediately hate them because they're not Reaper. But I actually really quite like Ableton. I like the way it's laid out. I just think it's a good DAW, to be honest. Do not use fucking Pro Tools under any circumstances. It is the worst fucking DAW in the universe. I hate Avid. Sorry, anybody who works at Avid. But I just think that their products are absolute dog shit. So that's just my very not spicy opinion. But yeah, anything else is fine. Logic, Reaper, FL Studio, like anything you want to use, all good, all good. But yeah, just stay away from Pro Tools, man. If you record live bands and you have all of the gear, then it's probably fine. I just think it's such a pain in the ass to use that program, and I'm literally qualified in using it. So I have 2 exams to my name for that damn bloody program. Okay, so we have drums. So we're going to do what's called an idea jam. Now, I'm worried that I actually don't remember how to do this because I want to record the audio. I think I'm going to do an audio track. That's not correct. Okay, and then we want it coming from... I just need to double check that this actually is going to work. We want it from Neuro. Where is it? Where's Neuro? There. Then we want that on record arm. Oh, can I do that? Let me just see. seems to be working. So there's probably a much better way of doing that I'm not doing. Okay, so we're going to record both of these. And we're going to have this open because I'm going to, while I'm playing, I'm going to be fucking around with these macros. So this might be a little bit boring because we want a decent amount to work with. But yeah, I'm going to just play and record some stuff, and we're going to fuck around with these effects and settings while we go. So, okay, I'm just going to go for it. Something sounds completely wrong. What has happened? Have I done that thing again where I bloomin'... Global distortion, global high pass. I thought it sounded quite a bit sort of crunchier than it is. Am I just forgetting something? Have I accidentally... Okay, I'm just going to go. We'll do this again. I seem to remember it sounding dirtier than this. Happened because I did mess around with these. Let me just quickly make sure that something obvious hasn't happened, like it hasn't fucked up a filter or something. Those are okay. That's okay. Oh, the reverb's all the way up. That's what's going on. Even though that says down, I can tell the reverb's up. Where is it? Here it is. Nope. Oh. Again, something sometimes just happens while you're doing stuff like this. Going mental, or does this sound different than when we were using it before? It sounds dull. It sounds... Oh yeah, look. Global low pass. Something has definitely happened to the sound. Have to rewatch back to see what I actually did that has made this change. Oh Jesus, I've just lost it. Yeah, we had all sorts of crunchy top end before, and now it's all flubby. It's not that. What is it? Why is this? Ah, here. Something is stuck on 0. Oh no, that was just for a while. That's actually not controlling anything either, so we can just get rid of that. It's not this. Could it be this? No. Is it something obvious in the routing? Is it because I've... I guess it's not going to be a stream unless I actually have some problem or that I can't figure out. Well, I mean, there's ways to fix it. I can make it more intense. It's just that there's kind of the point of what I was doing was to make it more intense. I really don't know. Oh, it could be. That's not even on. Okay, like, there's no way I can figure this out in the middle of this stream. Have I accidentally put a filter on something? It's not this Pro Q here. Oh, okay. Well, it's only my hard work of a whole hour gone. Let me see if I can like reload it. Okay, no, something's happening because even that sounds weird. I know what it will be. There's some global thing happening in this part of the track. We go on. Yeah. yeah. So in this part of the track, there's something happening that is. I think I actually know where it is. Is it here? Yes. Yes, there we go. That was it. I should have remembered about that, shouldn't I? Oh my god. Right, okay, so well, I figured it out. The most entertaining part of the whole stream is the bit where he didn't know what the fuck was going on for 10 minutes. So, Neuro bastard. That's the danger of using a track that's already got fucking loads of automation in it already. So essentially what had happened is part halfway through the drop, I put a low pass on the EQ so it can fit, so more stuff can fit around it basically. And then it obviously doesn't turn off the rest of that bit. Anyway, right, let's fucking do it. Right, so we're gonna do a what's called a mud pie or an idea jam or whatever. Basically, we're just gonna fuck around with this effect and make sounds do good sounds. Right, okay, here we go. Turn off the recording track, otherwise they got doubled. Yeah, but like I kind of need them both. Like this one needs to record the audio. That's what I need to do. And if I don't have that on, it's not gonna. There's probably a way of doing it, but I don't know the way to do it in this program. I need the audio. That's what we're doing. So I think it'll be fine. It doesn't sound crazy. So I'm just gonna do it. Basically, I went too loud there. You can see it's just all clipped. Anyway, so what we have now, I can get rid of that. Don't need any of that. There's basically, I didn't need to record the input of that. I just needed to record. I just needed to be able to play the MIDI. It's fine. It's just because I don't know this program very well. So I'm going to go for a little bit longer, and then we're going to be ending the stream. But now we have, or we should have. So we've got a chunk of audio here. Now this is the resampling section of this thing here. So resampling is essentially we just sample what we were doing. So like that there is now our resampled sound. You can do crazy things like reload it into a sampler and play around with it in a sampler. You can do all sorts of things with resampling, but because computers are so powerful these days, you don't necessarily need to specifically do it that way. But using the audio is really fun and really useful. So, because we can find little dirty, horrible moments of it that we like. Like, I like this bit. Which is pretty fucking cool, actually. I like that quite a lot. Is it that? Yes. Keyboard shortcuts, get in. Right, so we now have this section. Now, we can edit that. We can, for example, we could just like, we can reverse it for a start. We can chop it up. We can chop it even further. We can re-pitch it if we want. Let's change the how do you re-pitch it? Down here. Yeah. You can do all sorts. You can add more effects. You could add more distortion. We can like literally chop it up more and like do some bits reversed and some bits not reversed. Let's do this section and then reverse that again. And play it in different order. We can like stretch it. If I go back to the unaffected version. If I think I do this by putting on the warp mode or turning off the warp mode. No, is that wrong? Yeah, turn off the warp mode. No, put the warp mode on. And then, is that it? No. There we go. Yeah, so we can stretch it. You know. So these are just like little examples. Turn the recording track. Oh, sorry, you already said that. So I'd love to know if is anyone on here like really good with Ableton? Story, are you still there? You produce on Ableton, don't you? He's probably not here anymore. I would love to know if there's a way of literally just dragging and in Reaper you can literally press I think Alt and you drag your sample and it literally will just it will stretch the sample at the same time. I've just did it before where I like kind of like warped it by by changing the BPM, and that makes it. Oh, is that? Yeah, you change the BPM and it kind of like stretches the audio out, but that's like seems really annoying to do it that way. No one there to. No, it's fine. So another thing we can do is we can try and find little bits that we can make into a bit of a riff. This is the kind of thing I would spend time over normally. Terrible Reaper for the win. Yes, totally. Reaper is my absolute favorite, and I love it. But yeah, more people use this than use Reaper, so I thought it would be better to like use this than Reaper probably. So oh, that's pretty gnarly. So we got a little bit. I'm going to change these color just so we can just make sure we know where the where this riff is. So I'm kind of listening for interesting interactions, like things that sound cool, like have an interesting timbre to my ears. Might sound kind of similar, but like if I spent more time over this, I would like probably have more effects going. I would probably be using reverb a bit more on this. See, that's quite interesting. So it goes from kind of a high pass sound to a little bit of a reverby sound. One of the things that I'm doing as well that I probably could do differently is that I'm actually using the same riff. I'm going all the way through, and that can be less helpful and more helpful sometimes. So this one is a stretched one. Maybe I'll do the opposite on this one. I will make it faster. So that really fucks up. It doesn't. I want it to change from this exact point. That's not helping. And maybe I can consolidate. If I consolidate it, then I stretch it. Yeah, there we go. See, that's what I want to do, but with the whole clip. No? Nobody? You take my English so bad. Button over the control. Don't know how it's named. Shift. And with the arrow shows up, you can stretch it. Oh, mate, I tried this before. I swear I pressed shift. Thank you so much. I've been wanting that blooming shortcut for so long. So it looks like it only works at the top of the clip as well. Fantastic. Right, that's great. So now we've got a stretch. Maybe I want it longer. This is the bit I like, actually, is this last bit. So it's not the best riff ever, but you know, like you can basically, if you have enough interest in your thing, you find enough little bits, and you can do more things. You can like literally, you can play like I was doing before. You can play with the note. You can play with. Let's go off that. So gnarly there, ridiculous. So you can play with like the pitch bend. You can do all sorts. The more modulation you bring in, the more things that you change. Okay. I'm no good at memorizing lists. Digipacks. He says I can send you a shortcut list if you want. I know quite a lot of them already. Like, that one I hadn't found yet. I'd be no good at remembering a full big list, but I appreciate it. What will be best is if people just literally can answer my questions on screen on stream. But yeah. So we're getting towards the end of what I'm going to do today, really. So this now is essentially kind of a bit of a riff. I'll play it with the drums. It might sound like arse. I don't really care. Let's put it at the beginning of a riff. Yeah, I might even go do something like this. Chop it up again, and then do this one. 2 semitones up. Yeah, so you see what I'm saying? Like, we're getting a bit of a riff happening. Yeah. It's not very good, but like, you know, the more you experiment with this and the more you like literally allow yourself to play around this, the more interesting things can happen. So I really like the beginning of that. It's a little bit out of control. What I would do is I would make a separate sub channel and cut out the low end of this and do a sub bass that is its own thing, just so it's not so wild, because that can really like mess up the make it a lot harder to mix when your sub is going all over the place. Let's just see if we can actually make this a little bit better sounding. Again, I'm probably going to add distortion. Let's do. I'm going to do trash. This is a convolution distortion. So this one can really sound like some flapping skanky speakers if you really want it to. Oh God, is that ridiculously loud? Yes, it is. Let's turn the gain down. Oh my God, that's not helping at all. Let's turn the volume down here. Now this has a very Reese bass flavor to it. So you can do this process like using different types of like root sounds. You don't have to just create a standard Reese. You can create other sounds. It's all about really generating that interest by adding different effects and different things. Thanks very much, Digipacks. Appreciate it. Hey, sorry I have to leave now. Big ups to you, Moonlyte. I learned something, got entertained, and had a lot of fun. But now I have to cook some food for the family. Have a great time. Your English is awesome. I don't know what you're worrying about. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Yeah. So yeah, we have come to basically the end. This is a method of working. You don't have to work this way either. Like, this is just one interesting method of working that can end up with some cool, interesting results. I like the patch. I don't quite like what I've done with it in this like jam section yet. Like, I wouldn't use really any of this probably, but I do like the patch, and I think that it's got the ability to do stuff. I've already added another external effect here. I'll just add one more. I'll add some reverb and put this on a loop as well. I think I can loop it by pressing this keyboard shortcut. See, I know some of them. And then where's my... Oh, I thought I just put... I probably put that on a different channel. So, let's put a long reverb. fine. It's what I was saying before. It's a little bit shit. Doesn't really matter. It was an experiment. I wouldn't say it was a failed experiment. I would just say I haven't like got to something I like yet with that. So that's basically it. That's some noisier-esque, neuro-esque baseline creation. I hope that this has been relatively informative or interesting. And yeah, I appreciate everybody who's been here, everybody who's come and left, even if you were in here for a little while or if you just flew in and flew off. I very much appreciate it. Thanks very much. And yeah, I think I'm probably going to end it there. I don't think there's anybody else. It looks like there's nobody else in the chat, but I actually have no idea because I don't trust my little YouTube studio thing there telling me who's there. Anyway, yeah, as I say, hopefully going to do some more of these in the future, and hopefully, yeah, I'll see you then. Thanks very much, and take it easy. Oops, that's not the right button. Okay, thanks then.